Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, this meeting will be conducted via remote means. Members of the public who wish to access the meeting may do so in the following manner. Join us on Zoom. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. If we're unable to do so for reasons of economic hardship and despite best efforts, we will post an audio or video recording on the playlist on YouTube for the Library Building Committee as soon as possible after the meeting. So first up on our agenda is minutes to approve for the meeting of March 17th.
I think we're going to pass over that because Mary is not able to join us today.
Okay.
She had those.
So we'll hold those till the next meeting. And let's dive right into the discussion of the repair project. So progress to date, look ahead, and project schedule. I'll turn it over to Brian, Mike, and Stephen.
Mike, good afternoon. Mike, we'll put the screen up and run with it.
Before I do that, just jumping in so we don't have to share and then reshare. Mike, as we talked about before, would you be willing to present on the security proposal that was issued with the packet and then the CCD you brought up during the OAC today?
Sure. So I'll start with the security proposal we've worked with the town security vendor to develop. And I'll just start by saying that this is work that is separate to Seaver's construction contract, what we're actually building out there with the renovation project, but it's required to provide surveillance cameras and card readers around the building at different locations. So this vendor, BCM Controls, works with the town, specifically with the police and fire department, to manage and make sure that there is proper video surveillance and card access to all the public buildings. So this will take the library and put it on the town system, and making sure that all of the specs for the hardware used match what's used throughout the town. So I'll just speak to the number and the scope here, and I'll let Mike and Steve talk to how what bucket of money this comes out of, to put it plainly. So as I mentioned, this is for security cameras, and I'll just quickly share my screen here, just to show what's going on. What this will do, this drawing shows all the locations where we have security devices. The bubbles with blue are our camera locations.
I'm not seeing your screen. Sorry, Mike.
Not seeing that. Let's try this one.
There we go.
There we go.
Got that one? All right. Odd that I'm not seeing that. All right. Anyhow, so the blue bubbles are camera locations, red bubbles are card readers. I think there's a neighborhood of a little over 20 cameras, I want to say, and 4 card reader locations. And part of our review was to actually delete 1 camera location. So this provides interior and exterior camera locations that we walk through the building with fire, this vendor, Kate and Lynn, and the contractors to verify all locations and how they were going to be wired. So Kate and her team have verified these locations, and they're comfortable with these locations. Fire department, the same thing. So what this work includes, as I mentioned, all these locations, camera and video, but it is only for the devices, connecting the devices and programming the devices to properly work with the town system. And this is a cloud-based security system so that police and fire and anybody with the proper permissions can log in and see the status of both video and card access wise of what's going on at the building at any time. So as I mentioned, we got a number around inside and outside the building. So I'll just go back to the proposal again. The overall value of this work is somewhere it disappeared. You know what? It's 109,000. I've got the wrong proposal up there. Sure, why? Forgive me. I'll bring this up. Forgive me for not having this here. Clicked on the wrong one. I think it's this one. This one. So we're actually looking at two pieces of work with this vendor, one for work inside the scope and one for outside. Here we go. So again, 109,000 and change. And we've reviewed this with our electrical engineer, and some of the town officials, and we're all comfortable with this number, that it properly covers the scope of work. So we're recommending to the committee to approve this work as part of the overall project budget, separate from Seaver's Construction's budget. Any questions on that scope of work?
I have a question too, but Al, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, with the cameras, it's visual, but is it also audio?
No, visual only.
Okay, and the card readers, are those just for access into the building, or are those internal card readers also?
They're only on exterior doors.
Okay, that's questions I have. Thank you.
Sure.
Go ahead, Lee. Lee, nope, there you go. You're still muted though.
Al, you asked that question about the audio. Is that important in some way to you when you're thinking about overall security? Is it
Well, it
something we
is.
should be thinking about?
Well, no, just the audio. If you're doing that, you've got to notify people that you're recording them because of the, again, it's against the law to record somebody and they're not knowing about it.
Okay, so you're okay that we don't have audio.
Yes, that's fine.
Okay.
I'll since you made that comment, I will add it to our notes to follow up on notification to the public about video recordings.
So I actually have two questions. Can you just explain very briefly where all of these cameras are located for those who have not been in the building lately?
Sure. Let's see. Why don't I just
Orient the front of the building and all that, Mike.
Yeah, I can. All right. So this is the lower level plan, like the Friends and Children's level. Looking at the front of the building here, the West Main Street entrance, we have basically it's a 180-degree camera. It will cover that entire and even a little around the corner side of the building. And then on Parkman Street, we have that same type of camera, so it'll cover that entire elevation on the outside of the building. Moving around to the back, this camera actually gets deleted. This camera here is moved to the corner, and it will cover 270 degrees of that exterior. So we have all outside areas of the building covered. I'm just going to go up one floor because we also have one on the back corner of the 1908 building to also provide a different direction of coverage for that church side of the building. On the inside of the building, we have cameras looking as soon as a person walks into the building, a camera covers that entrance. It covers them walking through up to circulation And then we have another camera pointing back towards the entrance from circulation, covering that direction. From the Parkman Street side, on the inside, we have a camera that also covers that entrance coming up the stairs. We have a couple more down below that also cover the interior side of that vestibule. Also down on this lower level, we have another camera on the inside that will actually have a 360-degree view. And it'll cover the door that goes out to that back side of the building. It'll cover people coming into the children's area and monitor the children's area. Looking upstairs, and we have a camera that will cover looking down the new hallway down to the toilet rooms, just the outside of the toilet rooms. We'll have camera again, similar to what's downstairs, a camera located that will cover the door that comes out from Parkman Street. And then also people walking into the adult reference area, and then another camera that covers the teens area. What we were careful on doing with the placement of these cameras was to make sure that there was nothing really focused on areas where people might be working or reading or looking at materials. These are meant to be general in nature, just to monitor movement through the space. And on the upper level, again, an interior camera that covers the stairs coming up. And then we have a camera on the inside that will, on the inside of the elevator lobby that will monitor movement through this tight little space back here and into the employee workspace. And then that's the camera I spoke of earlier, covering the outside. Any questions on those locations or what they cover?
It sounds like the building is pretty well covered for like camera coverage. I remember, like, I don't know at what point we decided to put this many cameras in the building. My understanding earlier was that we were going to do exteriors and entry doors. Was this like a mandate from like the town? Did public safety want this, or can somebody help me out with that?
I can speak to that a little bit. We did a walkthrough. This was part of that walkthrough I mentioned a little bit ago with Kate and the fire department and this particular security vendor. And it was determined that that they wanted better coverage of openings, door openings, and people coming and going through the building. So that's we added a few cameras to deal with that. A lot of this is security driven. These two cameras here that I'm sort of zooming in on, again, pointing towards the door from West Main Street on the inside, capturing people who come in. And also as they make their way towards circulation. And this camera covers both, really, people coming through circulation as they come into the library from either direction.
So when you say they wanted these, was it fire or police?
I think it was a combination of fire and Kate's team that asked for these.
Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Pete.
Yeah, I have questions about who's actually monitoring these streams. It seems like a tremendous amount of information. And are they programmed for triggers and notification automatically, or do you have to have somebody kind of eyeballs on the stream to get any security benefit?
I mean, it is automatically activated. Somebody passes by it or it senses motion and it'll activate a recording device. So given any, a busy part of the day, they'll just continually be recording as people move through the space. They're meant less so of actively monitoring, somebody sitting in front of the screen and watching. More so, they're meant to be a useful record in case you need to look at an incident in the past. Or, yeah, looking at an incident that had already occurred that you need to investigate or be better informed of.
So it's not like an active shooter, or you detect something going on and you react quicker. It's more an event happened over the last 24 hours. You go back and look at the tapes and figure out what happened.
It will have the ability, if there is an event like that, that somebody could, the police department could log in. If they're notified of an event, any given event, they can log in and see what's going on real time. That can happen. That's the benefit of the cloud service. It could be that Kate logs in. It's a Sunday evening. She gets notified about something going on. She can log in and see whether it's a worthy event, or is it just an animal passing by the camera.
Thank you. Al?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I agree with what Mike was saying. I'm not sure of this system, but I know in the past, most of the systems will keep a memory for about 30 days so that it can be reviewed. If something had to happen, if it did happen in the past, you can go back and you can see what transpired. We have had it where you can log in and, such as an active shooter, the police department can go in and they can follow what's going on in live time so that they can advise the responding officers of what's taking place. So it's definitely a security benefit to have that. My question is, are these tied into the alarm system also, so that if the alarm is to be triggered after hours, that the Kate can go on and she can look in and see what's going on?
Yeah, she'll have that ability.
Okay. Those are the questions that I had, or statements.
Thank you. Kate?
I just wanted to add that we, in our temporary space, had set up this system on a smaller scale, but we have, Lynn and I both have access to the cameras that we have installed in our temp space, and we have already had to use them a couple of times for a few incidents that we've had. For us, the interior ones are great for all the reasons listed, but also at the end of the day, it's a staff safety concern. We are asking staff, sometimes 3 staff, sometimes 2 staff, to work alone in a building where anybody can walk in, and we want to remain open to everybody. And so part of how we're able to do that is to make sure that we have their 6, that we have them covered, and that we can see as people walk in and out, that's really the most ideal place to get them, so that we are not monitoring them sitting in a reading chair and what they're reading, because that is absolutely not what we want anybody to have access to. But rather, we're able to get a clear picture if there is an incident. We had an incident last year that it would have been really helpful to have something like this set up, and we didn't. And so for me, it's protection against staff, for staff, in cases of lawsuits, which again we have already had in the last year and a half. So I'm really excited about it. I think we were really careful in the placement of where we picked it. And so also very similar to what I've had in almost every other library I've worked at. So it's something that I'm used to having, and that coming here in Westborough was a little bit, we already have security issues with the 3rd floor, right? Because there's no way to secure that 3rd floor with the stairway and the elevator and everything. And Lynn's office can't even be locked. So we have obstacles to overcome in terms of security in that building. And so I think that this is just super helpful. So thank you, Mike, and everybody for helping us with that.
Other questions? So my, you're probably going to get to this, Mike, but I'm just curious if the town is requiring us to install this, if they're going to be helping us pay for it, or if it's all coming out of our project.
They are requiring some level of this. The full extent of it, I think they leave to the owner's discretion, but they do require some level of access control and exterior monitoring, surveillance monitoring. And the access control is particularly important because by putting card readers and electronic locks on the doors, any emergency responder with the proper credentials can get in 24/7. So as Kate mentioned, if one of her people are in there at a late period at night and then just the timing works that the exterior doors are locked, something happens, emergency responder can get in as quickly as anybody.
Thank you. Al?
Yeah, I've got a question for probably Kate or Lynn. There's a recurring amount of money that's going to have to be budgeted every year now for the monitoring of the system and for maintaining the system. Has that been given to the town so they know how much this is going to cost every year?
That is a great question, and I am not sure. So I will look into that, Al.
Okay, thank you.
I agree with you, Kate. I don't know if we talked that number yet with this vendor.
And from past history, Al, my suspicion is that that will be on the library to pay
Of
for
course,
that subscription. It will come out of the budget. So
it's your building.
that's really important information to know now before we go ahead and install something. Lee?
Well, I was wondering, you said Lynn's office couldn't be locked. That's the one on the third floor. So why can't it be locked? And should it be able to? I mean, what if she needed to lock herself in because it was an intruder? She's the only one there.
Yeah, it's a fire. It's an fire escape. So it can't be locked. So that third floor door is required so that people can get to the fire escape from the third floor. So
Okay. So it's not the door to her office.
It is the door to her office because her office is the emergency exit to the fire escape. So that office door cannot be locked.
All right, thank you.
Bob?
Sure. I think Mike Williams answered my question already, but it's regarding card readers and who has the card reader access. So I assume it's just for staff and it's for entry and exiting the building before and after hours.
You don't have to use it to exit.
Well, yeah, okay, when they leave, but right, okay.
Yeah, you're right, Bob.
Okay,
yeah,
thanks.
Other questions?
Yeah, I guess the concern is cost, and so can we evaluate minimum program versus full blown? Because obviously you can add to this later, but I don't know if we're in a position at this time to know we have so much for what I would call FFE or whatever. And this would use a chunk of that. Is all of this a priority versus the rest?
That's a very good question, Walter. That's kind of what I was wondering as the conversation has gone on. I know many libraries have security cameras inside. It's always made me feel a little uncomfortable, just for patron privacy, and also you never want staff to be working in a space where they feel like they're under surveillance. And there are a lot of cameras on this plan. So I'm wondering if there's a way to see a plan where there are fewer. But I think that really the issue is the ongoing costs that the library is going to have to take on moving forward. That's a question for me. Al?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, this question for Mike. Are we at the point now where we have to make a decision on these being installed because they've got to run the wires before they close the walls up or anything?
You're muted, Mike.
I was on mute. Sorry. So the wiring for these devices actually is included in the base contract scope of work. So the timing of it is making use of this vendor, the town's vendor, to coordinate with our electrical contractor as part of the renovation project to work together to make sure wires are exactly where they need to be. There's enough length where, where they're dropped, and then that everything is working properly. Having said that, some of this work can happen later, right? So the wire's going to be there. It'll be above a ceiling for any location that, if you choose not to proceed with a given location, there will always be wire there ready and waiting for a camera in the future. But we do want to make use of the time we have to coordinate properly between this third-party vendor and our electrician under the renovation project.
If we push this to our next committee meeting, is there, on the building team side here, do you think that would be problematic for the installation component, having listened to what Michael just explained? It doesn't seem it, but certainly there's some good questions here about monitoring costs. Can we look at this scope and do a little less or not? And the other part to that is that we will provide, and we got some good information on FF&E just in the last couple of days on some of the major costs with a thorough budget update, not just about where change orders are, but also on the items that we don't believe we're going to spend any more money on a certain line item. And so there's certain monies left that we could look at just to make sure that you guys are aware of what those are. So maybe having that added to this conversation would help as well. What do you think? Kate, you were obviously directly involved in this. I don't want to get in the way of all that. You certainly work very hard at trying to map this out. What do you suggest?
I think every time we present something to this group, it represents a lot of work done by LPA, by Vertex, by experts in the field, and also, and it's not just me involved in these conversations, it's me and a good working group of staff. And so we come together, we talk about what we think we need in the new space. And so it does represent the people who actually do have to work in the building afterwards and what they feel is necessary to do their job. So I don't know. I mean, I think the plan that we're presenting is the one we're hoping for. And if Mike or Steve or whomever thinks it's okay to wait until next month to vote on it, that's good with us. If it's not going to impact the timeline, our biggest concern is timeline. So happy to do whatever you guys would like to do.
Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, thanks, Maureen. So I think it was mentioned earlier that some of this was motivated by the town, and so it sounded like perhaps somewhere outside of the this project could contribute some of the funds for this. I guess I don't know if any departments sort of have that capability right now. If not, it would probably need to go to town meeting. So if you're interested in that, you may have to do some sort of initial groundwork, and then we would have to bring like additional cameras to fall town meeting for a vote. I think town meeting's always been supportive of security. So I don't see it as a tremendous issue, but I want you to consider that in your timeline.
So I think what I'm hearing is that the intention is to pay for this out of FF&E. Okay.
Yeah. And just to speak to that, so it is based on the budget that I have and every knock against it so far. With this, the furniture that we've received to date with shelving and the circulation desks, the security item, and then our estimate for technology, with all of that, we would still have roughly $300,000 for the rest of the furniture. And that's not including another separate budget line item that Steve mentioned before that potentially, if it's not going to be used, which would be for the temp space enabling. Don't know how much that's going to be impacted in the future. We could use some of that, which is also stands at a healthy value. Not sure if that helps or if there's any questions on it. I can throw it up on the screen if that's more helpful.
Thank you. Go ahead, Walter.
Yeah, I mean, Sean, I can't help but think that some amount of this would be planned into the repair project. And I find it really hard to believe we could go back to town meeting when you have a $12+ million budget, looking for $40,000 for cameras or something. It just seems we don't even know whether we're going to use up all the money that was already appropriated. So I don't really see that as a real viable option till the project's over, and you really know what you spent. Because to me, this is part of the repair effort. Just have to prioritize what you want to spend the money we requested for this repair on.
And as Mike mentioned before, the wiring infrastructure will be there. It'll just be the cameras won't be there.
Go ahead, Sean.
Got it. Yeah, I wasn't sure. It just seemed there was a comment earlier about the town was driving this that implied that maybe the town might pick up some of it. But if it
that was me.
Okay, so I don't know if the plan is to fit this within the budget of the project. Yeah, I think that makes sense, as long as that works.
Thank you. Mike, I'll come back to you in 1 second. I just want to give Mary a chance because we haven't heard from her yet. So go ahead, Mary.
Sorry, trying to figure out how to unmute.
There you go.
I too am concerned about cost on this and looking at adding costs to the project that weren't there. We promised the town that we would do everything possible to keep this as tight of a project. And I want to make sure that we're holding true to that as much as possible. So I get really nervous about going forward with something that we don't know the true ongoing costs of it all.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, on mute, Mike.
Sorry. To Steve's question, can we wait another month? Yes, we can. We can do some due diligence, provide the additional information. I could probably ask this vendor to break out the cost of some of those interior cameras. If you want to see that broken out,
That would
make a
be
decision
helpful,
from
I
there.
think. Yeah.
And the recurring costs.
And the recurrent costs. Yes. Yep.
Okay.
All right, we should do that. Okay, why don't we do that and move on to the next item? I think that was a good, healthy discussion.
I think Sean has a question before we move on.
Oh, I would say just one quick comment. I think these cameras make a lot of sense, and the security of the employees of the library, and patrons as well, it is important. So I just want to say I have no issue with what you're looking to do here, Kate and Lynn and Maureen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Maureen, Bill Linane.
Go ahead, Bill.
I support what's been done, including the cost of $109,000. At the weekly meetings, Kate has brought this forward, and Lynn. We've done the exercise that's needed outside and what the various departments, especially police, require. I don't have a problem with searching out the questions you have on the monitoring cost, et cetera. But the way it's been laid out, I think the engineers through Mike have done an excellent job in requiring what was needed or what was requested, and I believe is needed where the cameras are located both interior and exterior. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, I agree with Bill. I mean, it seemed like some of it was baked in, but if you look at some of the other costs that we came across, I think the public, if anything, God forbid, ever happened in a year or two, and we didn't go ahead with this for $109,000 and said, well, you renovated that internal, skylight we found, and we did this beautiful wavy blue ceiling in the children's room and that room, but yet we didn't put security cameras in. I think we'd be regretting that if anything ever happened. So to me, security is front and foremost, um, for this project. It needs to just be baked into the overall cost.
Thank you. Any other comments before we move on to the next topic? Hearing none. Go ahead, Steve.
Okay, over to Mike, or want to speak to the CCD, Mike, on the lead?
Okay, so the issue at hand, as you all probably can anticipate, there is paint on that building that contains lead. The painter came to us and said he's not responsible for removing that lead. We looked into it further. We found that the documents do identify a scope of work in which the painter is responsible for scraping and preparing all the surfaces he's supposed to paint. That's clear in the documents. Where it's unclear is who's responsible for dealing with lead paint. There's a very specific way and specific certification for people who work with that material and its removal to make sure that the people protect themselves properly, who are actually performing the work, how it's collected and how it's disposed of. It's not as invasive or as difficult as asbestos abatement, but it still has some restrictions to it. So the question became, who's responsible for dealing with that lead-containing paint? The painter said it was the general contractor. The general contractor said it's the painter. There is there's a lack of clarity in the drawings that definitely spells out one or the other. So to resolve it, because we agree that it would be reasonable for either contractor to anticipate that the other contractor was responsible for the work during bidding, that it is reasonable to do this work as an additional cost to the contract on a T&M basis with a not to exceed order of magnitude of $30,000. So similar to the chilled water work, this work being time and materials, slips would be kept daily and verified by Bob Tucker and the super out there, Ivan, to check every slip for every worker and every piece of material applied to this scope of work. So this is I'll say this, we struggled with making this determination. We felt very confident that the scope of work was in the drawings. But hearing the arguments of both the general contractor and the painting subcontractor, who is a filed subbidder, which they have certain state regulation protections, that either of them, it was reasonable to understand how either of them could not have carried the scope of work in their bid.
Could
So-
you just give us a quick rundown of where those locations are that have lead paint?
Sure, and I'll offer this too. We just recently, Friday before last, we conducted some additional lead paint testing to verify exactly where this condition was an issue. So to put it in probably the clearest way, the 1908 building has the lead paint, the 1980 building does not. There are some areas down in the lower level that overlap where lead is not present in the 1908 building, probably because originally it was never painted to begin with and only painted in more recent years. But primarily on the exterior of the building, the painted copper cornice around the perimeter of the roof, the wood trim at the windows on the exterior, the door casings on the exterior contain lead. On the interior, walls, ceilings, most of the interior woodwork is finished, so the interior woodwork does not contain lead, but the walls and ceilings do contain lead. And what the scope of work actually is not to remove every piece of lead paint off the surface of the building. It's only to prepare it to receive new paint, which just means scraping away anything that's loose and unbonded from the surface below. But given the locations of some of this on the exterior of the building, it does require the work to, occur with lifts and ladders, which add some costs, equipment costs, and slows down that work a little bit. So there is, which is one of the reasons why we're recommending this happening on T&M, is that some of those things are hard to put a number to at this point in time. Granted, we know we can see the areas that are affected by it, but it's tough to say, this side of the building is, 100% removal. This side is 5%. This little corner is, a half an hour's worth of work. So it's varies depending on the location and the condition of the paint. So it is best to proceed on T&M just so that it gives some flexibility to giving the contractor time to do the work and monitoring that accurately, as Bob and Ivan had done during the chilled water work.
Mike, appreciate that explanation and remembering that we hadn't actually asked you to provide that presentation. I was going to do that. So as you're well into it, I remember that we hadn't asked you to do that. So you're quick on your feet there, which I appreciate. Not that you don't know the subject matter extremely well, which you do. So this is the same as Mike described so well. This is a preparation issue. So painters, if there's some scraping or prepping of the surface needed, that's the only time that the de-leading is going to have to happen at that location. Otherwise, they can just paint it. You don't have to de-lead it to paint it. So that's the purpose of this with Mike's thorough explanation there. So we know we didn't send this out in advance, but feel that this would be very helpful to the project to see if you folks would consider this approval of the CCD at this meeting tonight. And then we'll get right into our regular routine of items, and we'll zip right through them because it's fairly routine this month of things. So if this would be considered, that would be very helpful.
Question from Lee.
Hi, thank you. So we don't know how much it's going to cost yet. Do we know which vendor is going to do it? And it sounds like we were responsible for the specs that went out, that we just didn't think to put this in anybody's contract clearly, or was it actually clearly and then just giving us a little smoke in the face saying it wasn't clear? I don't quite understand how we would have missed that and how much it's going to cost us.
So great question. So we have a limit of authorization here of $30,000. We don't know exactly how much it's going to be. You know, we've been through a couple of CCDs on this project that have worked out well for us, if there is a worked out well for added costs, that ended up being less than was initially presented. So this is directing the contractor, because we as a town have the contract with the contractor. So we're directing the contractor to do the work. Contractor can choose to have the painter do the work or have it work done themselves under their subcontractor to the general contractor. I think that answered your questions, Lee, if I missed any.
But did we miss how we wrote this
Oh,
up?
thank you. Yes, I didn't mean to skip that
Because I
part.
mean, that's our,
Yeah, it
it's
was
on us.
no doubt about it. So, and that's, I probably said early in this project, when we present items of extra cost, there won't be any one item that we can say that's reasonable to have missed that, and this is in that same category. It's like, how can we not have identified clearly who owned this work? And that's how these projects go, and that's what changes are when happen, and that's what contingency covers. And as much as you don't want any of them to happen, they do happen, and they will happen on every
Yeah.
project. So
And that's why we have contingency.
that's exactly right. It's not just a, well, that's what we have it for. But
Oh, one.
these things occur with the, you know, the specification manual is approximately 3 inches thick. So it's a massive document. And while this should have been specified more clearly as to ownership of this, it wasn't. Simply put, there's no BS. That's the fact. So
Thank you.
that's what we have. Yes.
Any other questions or comments?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. So I will go down my list. Al,
Gordon, yes.
Lee,
Emery, yes.
Bill,
Lenine, yes.
Kate,
Veracchio, yes.
Bob,
Petrusella, yes.
Pete,
Dunback, yes.
Lynn,
Sukup, yes.
Sean,
Keo, yes.
Mary,
Johnson, yes.
and I'm a yes. So that one is approved.
Leslie, yes.
Oh, sorry, Walter.
It's okay.
You almost didn't count.
Doesn't got enough.
Thank you.
All right, Mike, 12 minutes. Take it away.
All right. Speed course.
Yep.
Right. Get to skip over a couple of these. We already did it. Jumping into the financial update for this month. We have committed $11.3 million to the project. That's everything that has actual cost or PO, and that's committed for that item. What has been spent to date, so the actual things, is 6.3 million, and left to spend is 4.9 million, which makes sense because we're roughly 60% of the way through the project billing per the payout that we received for this month. Down into status of changes. So for our contingency, as we were just talking about, we have approved to date 274,000, so roughly 28% of the contingency. The potential changes that we have, which are the estimated submitted and pending, are 392,964, or roughly 41% of the contingency. And if everything is approved that is a potential change, we'll have used roughly 70% of the total contingency. Or what would be left in the contingency would be $288,690. As we go with changes, so this is a change order that we sent out with the packet. So what these are is the first one, PCO 30. This is to provide grounding for the electrical elevator feed, as it was not originally grounded with the existing feed. So that's kind of an unforeseen item. And then also an unforeseen item while they were removing and excavating for the water line installation, some of the earth that they moved contained roots that damaged a conduit that was existing underground. So that's the cost associated with repairing that. So this total change order would be $7,307 for change order 6.
Any questions or comments on change order 6?
Move to accept.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you. So I'll go down my list again. Walter, you're first this time since I forgot you last time.
Yeah, but I'm muted. Leslie, yes.
Mary,
Johnston, yes.
Sean, I think I heard you say yes.
Oh, yes.
Thank you. Lynn,
Sukup, yes.
Pete,
Dunbeck, yes.
Bob,
Petroselli, yes.
Kate,
Caraccio, yes.
Bill,
Ledine, yes.
Lee,
Emery, yes.
Al,
Gordon, yes.
and I'm a yes. So change order number 6 is approved.
Thank you. We on to our next change order, which is change order number 7. And this only PCO in here is for the chilled water piping installation. So that's the piping that was demoed. And this is the cost that we associate with that. This was previously approved as CCD number 6, which had a not to exceed value of $200,000. We came in with a final cost of $131,112.
Just a comment, it's almost final, Mike, in that there's a little bit
Oh,
work
yes.
left. You could speak to that, yes.
Thank you, Steve. This is staying correct. This is 95% of it. We just need to make the final 5% is to make the connections to the equipment in the mechanical room that have not been installed yet. Some of that work will be contracted, some of that will be change. So there should be a small amount left.
So you'll come back for the rest of it later once the work is done. Yeah.
Yeah. We're just requesting this now as kind of a good faith gesture with the subcontractor so they continue to progress nicely.
This has been
Any
well
questions
discussed.
sorry, go ahead, Bill.
This has been well reviewed and discussed at the project weekly meetings. I move to accept.
Thank you. Second?
I'll
Second the
second.
motion.
Thank you. All right. For a roll call, Al,
Gordon, yes.
Lee,
Emery, yes.
Bill,
Ledine, yes.
Kate,
Caraccio, yes.
Bob,
Petroselli, yes.
Pete,
Dunbeck, yes.
Lynn,
Sukup, yes.
Sean,
Oh, yes.
Mary,
Johnston, yes.
Walter,
Leslie, yes.
and I'm a yes.
Thank
So
you.
change order number 7 is approved.
Thank you. Then we have our invoices received for this month. So we have invoices from Vertex, LPA, and Seaver, totaling $863,465. We're looking for your approval.
I support it. I support this and move to approve.
Thank you. Second?
I second.
Emery.
Are there any questions or comments before we vote? Hearing none. Al,
Gordon, yes.
Lee,
Emery, yes.
Bill,
Ledine, yes.
Kate,
Caraccio, yes.
Bob,
Petroselli, yes.
Pete,
Dunbeck, yes.
Lynn,
Sukup, yes.
Sean,
Oh, yes.
Mary,
Johnston, yes.
Walter,
Leslie, yes.
and I'm a yes.
Thank you.
That is approved.
Everybody's favorite, the construction update. Bob, do you want to take us through this?
Yeah, jumping right in here, we're looking at the high roof over the 1908 section of the building on the backside where the skylight is. The roofing crew has been up doing demolition. They've got that whole area demoed at this point of the tile, and they've recovered it with ice and water. So they have moved along in that area very well. Next. Inside, this is one of the equipment pads in the machine room area. It's already prepped to receive the piece of equipment that'll be sitting on it. And all of the pads between the machine room area and the boiler room are all prepared in a similar manner with the epoxy coating on it. Just waiting for the equipment to arrive now. Here's our painter who's been doing an excellent job for us, painting in behind on the third floor of the shelving. And as I say, they've been doing a very good job as far as preparing everything and making it as good as possible, and then applying the coatings. Down in the basement, as you can see, it still gets used as somewhat of a storage area for material before it gets installed. But you can see the blue ceiling now in the area that will have some scattered clouds, as I like to refer to them, and then hard ceiling on either or ACT ceiling on either side. Also, the walls are painted and at least with the first coat, and they're coming along very nicely. On the main floor, looking towards the back side of the new toilets, and as well as the conference room space for the adult book area. The ceiling grid for the ACT is all up in place. They've installed what we define as cuts. Would that go in around sprinkler heads, any kind of speakers that may be mounted in the ceiling, and other accessories.
Thank you, Bob.
My pleasure.
That is the extent of our presentation. Thank you.
Al, go ahead.
Yeah, Maureen, we passed over the minutes approval because Maureen wasn't on. She's on. I mean, not Maureen. Mary.
Mary.
She's on now. Should we revisit that?
I think Mary doesn't have her computer, which is
Okay.
the issue.
Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
Sorry,
Or she-
we're up in Quebec and my computer's not working here.
Okay.
No worries. Thank you. We'll put those on the next agenda, but thank you for raising that, Al. Any other building related issues that we need to discuss while we're all here together?
Bill Lene.
Yeah, go ahead, Bill.
It's not building related, but it's the trees out front. I think we need to begin to walk by and take a look at how bad those trees really are. And we need to observe that the one nearest the church will probably have some more damage to it because the roots have been damaged. I think it's well worthwhile that we look into this soon so that if we decide to put new trees in there, although small, it can be done before the whole area is finished out front. Nothing to be decided now, but please keep it in mind.
So I'll ask everyone, I'm going to assign your homework between now and the next meeting to walk by and look at the trees closely. Now that they're leafing out, this is a good time to look at them and assess the health as much as you're able to, because I know we're not all arborists, but just go and take a look. I see Lee and Pete. So Lee, go ahead.
Thank you. I don't know how many of you have met him, but we have a wonderful new tree warden, a young man who's very inventive and enthusiastic and really knowledgeable. I think he's responsible for the fact that we didn't have any wires down in our storms this year because he went around and really trimmed trees that are in danger. So I would take his advice on, how healthy they are and sort of recommendations among other things we might want to, or other people we might want to reach out to. It
I
also
sent
might be a
him,
good,
sorry, I
Excuse me?
sent him an email today and asked him if he would
Yeah.
give us his
He's-
diagnosis.
Well, get a chance to meet him. He's a really nice kid. I think the other thing is it might be a really wonderful, because they're so visible, place for someone to gift us a tree in memory of someone. So we might be able to get trees that are larger and more expensive. But I guess that's that other part of the library gift people that would look into that. But I think we definitely should pursue that. Gets the name right on the tree, right on Main Street. I mean, what could be better?
Thank you. Pete?
Yeah, I'd echo the endorsement of the tree warden. Kyle Vendel is excellent. I raised my hand to ask consideration of putting in a change to put double pane glass on the skylight on the third floor. The heat rises, as you know, into the building, and there's like a chimney effect. It looks like a very weak link in the whole insulation of the roof line and attic. So I think it would be worth considering trying to improve the thermal barrier across that skylight.
Pete, Bill and Ann here. Mike is writing an email to you and I. He's already reviewing it. So.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments?
I just want to thank I arrived late, so I don't know if you covered this, but it was great getting that tour earlier in the month. Really enjoyed looking around and seeing the good work going on, and it made it seem more real. So appreciate that opportunity.
It's also really helpful to stand in the space and understand the changes that are being made, because we see it in pictures, but standing there in that space was really helpful for me, at least, to put that in context. So I echo your appreciation for that, Walter. It was really helpful.
Kate and her team have done a great job in bringing that forward.
Agreed. If there are no other issues, our next regular meeting will be May 19th at 3:30. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We had motions and seconds. So
we're ready to leave.
I will go down the list one last time. Al?
Gordon, yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Bill?
Lenine, yes.
Kate?
Paraccio, yes.
Bob?
Petroselli, yes.
Pete?
Gunbeck, yes.
Lynn?
Tukup, yes.
Sean?
Yo, yes.
Mary?
Johnson, yes.
Walter?
Leslie, yes.
And I'm a yes. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you on May 19th, if not sooner.